somebody said something to me yesterday and at the clinic, and the more I thought about it, the angrier it made me. Right? So what they said was, it happens. It happens in relation to kidney disease and dialysis. And I sat there and I sort of mealed over it for a little while. And I thought to myself, you know, if I had cancer, she wouldn't have said that. If I was the parent of some 4-year-old kid who was diagnosed with cancer, she wouldn't have said that to them. She would not have said that. I think that we need to start reevaluating how we, as a whole, especially in healthcare, think about chronic illness, Lyme disease, lupus, kidney disease, diabetes. There's this idea that unless it's cancer, nothing else is a big deal, right? It's like, oh, you have kidney disease? Ah, well, they have dialysis, so fuck them. You know, that who gives a shit about kidney disease, right? Even though I think I read somewhere that like kidney disease kills more people than like cancer does, but yet if the big C is not put on it, then it's not a priority to anyone. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, and I'm sure this is going to get misconstrued, I'm not saying that cancer shouldn't be considered a big deal. But anybody that has some common sense that's actually listening to what I'm saying is that other diseases, other illnesses, chronic diseases, things that you have for life, for the rest of your life. Like I have kidney disease for the rest of my life. There's no cure for it. Like they'll even tell you, the transplant centers will even tell you, it's not a cure, it's a treatment, right? Like I'll have this for the rest of my life. And I'm always going to be like on the razor's edge. I think I said that in a previous video. But I think that these things should be taken more seriously, and that people need to reprogram their brain as to how they think about dialysis. So that way, when you're speaking to someone with a chronic illness like lupus, like kidney disease, like Lyme disease, you won't just say, oh, well, you know, bad shit just happens. But you have dialysis, so, you know, who gives a shit? So that way these things won't happen. But the reason why they don't is because people either have a very limited understanding of what all of this stuff is and how negatively this impacts people's lives, or they don't care. So it's easy for them to just say whatever. You know, shit happens. Well, I got to get over here to clean this machine. You know, I got to go over here and do this. Who gives a shit, right? Who gives a fuck? I put you on the machine. If I go walk off, who gives a shit, right? You continue doing dialysis. I don't give a shit. You know, I'm living my best life right now. So you can go fuck yourself. You know, shit happens. And I would like to think that would have been the last time that I would hear something like that. But I know that it's not going to be. And I didn't catch it when it first happened. And I should have said something, but I didn't catch it. But the next time it does happen, something will be said. And I will have to educate this person as to the either lack of consideration or their abundance of ignorance about what all this stuff actually is. You got guys working in these clinics, 15, 20 years, and they literally know nothing about like what patients go through because they're too busy trying to cash a check. They're too busy trying to cash that check, and they don't care. They got work to do. They got to clean this machine over here. They got to do this. They got to do that. They got to figure out what they're going to eat for lunch. They got to make sure they get to Dutch Brothers before the line gets too long, so that way they can get their mocha macchiato, tall boy, whatever. They got to make sure they do that, before they make sure that they understand what you're going through. Before they can understand why you aren't in love with this, why you hate this shit so much. And I did the last video I did was me considering stopping. And I just want to elaborate a little bit further on that, right? It's something that I have been giving a lot of consideration to, and it's not a decision that I make lightly. I want to stress that I don't make knee-jerk reactions to trauma. The magnitude of this, I've given it a lot of consideration. I've given it a lot of thought. And I don't know if I'm going to stop or not. I'd like to, I'd like to stop just for the peace. Just so that way I could just get some peace in my life for once in my life, not have to deal with life or death decisions or illness or sickness or pain or having to rebuild my life over and over again after it gets tore down over and over again by circumstances out of my control. And this same person, that said it happens in relation to like my whole life being torn apart by this, is relax. Like, what a novel idea. I didn't think of that. Why don't I just relax and just stop thinking about it? It's just that easy. I wish I would have thought of that sooner. What a novel concept. It's like, what do you think I've been doing this whole, what do you think I've been doing? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find some peace. That's why I want to stop, so that way I can get some peace. But if I stopped and I die, you know what I mean? And it's like my mom asked me to keep going. And I'm just going to be 100 on this video. Like, there's a slight resentment there of she just wants me to just hang around. Not because she wants to see me suffer, but because she loves me. And I understand that. I understand that. But it's not her life that it's affecting. And I think that the more I sort of introduce her to the idea of me stopping and me just letting it go, I think she's starting to come more and more to an understanding of how miserable this is making me, and like the magnitude of how long I may have to wait for this. And after everything that's happened to me thus far, and some of you may have been following me when I started this, and some of you may just be learning this now, but like 4 years have already, nearly 4 years have already gone by with me fighting for my life for something else, right? And I've already dedicated 4 years of my life to this. And now you're telling me that I have to dedicate more time to this thing. And I'm not supposed to make a big deal out of it. I'm just supposed to just relax and just trust the process, when life hasn't necessarily been very good to me. And I haven't gotten a lot of opportunities to be happy despite my best efforts. And I'm trying. I'm trying. And I'm trying not to complain. And people just keep telling me to just don't worry and just be happy, but it's not that simple. And they say that because it's not them it's happening to, and I totally get that. I understand that. Like, how can you understand someone when you are not in their shoes and you don't want to put yourself in their shoes because you're too busy living your best life? And there's a lot of themes of me, like there's a lot of me saying these things over and over again. But, I sort of make these videos sort of to vent and to sort of, if I can, whoever's watching these videos, on my Facebook, on my YouTube, on my Instagram, maybe it can just enlighten you about what your Mima or your grandpa is going through, And it's like, this is tough for me. And I'm in my 30s. And this is tough for me. Imagine what they're going through. I mean, imagine all the pain and suffering that they're going through, and they can't recover as fast as I can. Just, and I'm able to do that because of choices that I make, and just the sheer fact that I'm a younger person helps tremendously. But it's not like it's something that I do. It's not like it's a skill that I've acquired. I just happen to have been born in the 80s. It's nothing I could have done about that. Like, I had no choice in that matter. It just happened. I'm here, But kidney disease, it is a big deal. Dialysis is a big deal. It's not it's happened type of scenario. And it's extremely inconsiderate to say something like that to somebody sitting in a dialysis chair who comes in there every day knowing that they're going to feel like absolute shit for the rest of the day. And their life is going to change irreversibly, even with the kidney. Your life will never be the same. And you're going to have to pick up the pieces to that life and start over after, watching everything around you just falling apart. Like, I don't really know, like, how do you just relax? How do you just relax? How do you just say, how do you just say it's no big deal? How do you just say, oh, what happens? As if they just messed up your order at a Starbucks. Well, it happens. Or you forgot to pack the dish soap at the grocery store and you left it at the store. Well, that happens. That kind of stuff just happens. You get a flat tire. That kind of stuff just happens. Like major organ failure. That kind of stuff doesn't just happen. These are like monumental, life-changing events. And you have people, even within the industry of nephrology, that don't understand that. So I just wanted to, get that sort of thing off of my chest. And, the next time you see somebody, or the next time you meet someone, or the next time you hear about somebody that needs dialysis, think very carefully about what you say to them, right? Because you wouldn't want somebody saying that to you. And if it was somebody that you cared about with cancer, would you want somebody to say something like that to them or to you? So in the future, we need to reevaluate how we think about kidney disease. We need to reevaluate how we think about dialysis, because not everybody in dialysis is there because they're a piece of shit and they just made poor life decisions because they did drugs or they drank too much or they're just some fat piece of shit that just ate pizzas all the time. Like, not everybody is there in dialysis because of that. Everybody's story is different. And if you are not going to take the necessary steps to speak to them to find out what their story is, then don't judge them.